going on. Just turn these down a little bit so I'm overwhelmed. I had a couple, seems like they're coming in now. Two people to do a slight presentation or explanation of something that they're going to try to bring. Guys can come in and have a seat. And I just want to go over the rules real quick as far as the town hall meeting. It's not political, so if you ask political questions, I do have a campaign office. Come right there and ask those questions, and I'll be more than happy to give you as many answers and explanations as you're looking for and as you need. We're here to talk about things that are going on in the village, to talk about problems that you may have that you have not been addressed or that has not been addressed, and you don't get a chance to come to the meetings to bring them up, and I'm pretty sure you've already brought them up, but they just haven't been addressed. And also to find out basically what's going on in the village that you really don't have a chance to come up and see, and we'll try to bring that information to you. If not, I will take your phone number down and give you a call as soon as I know. So with that, again, I'd like to say thank you, and I'm glad that I did send out a quick thing for Deer Creek, and I appreciate you guys coming out. I wish more of you came out, because this is very, very important, especially at this time of the year, not just election, but coming into spring. So, you know, there's things that you should know about, there's things that you should ask questions about, and this is your village. Usually we go into talking about some of the things as far as finances, but these are two gentlemen that I've met at an outing that I was at, and it was very interesting what they had to say. So I asked them to come out during the town hall and kind of explain some of the things that they're involved in, to kind of let you guys know what's going on and what could be, and maybe if you have a few questions that you want to ask, you can. But I thought it was something that was very interesting, that because if I see something or hear something, I try to bring it to the people to at least expose them. You may not want to get involved, but at least you have heard about it and you have the exposure. So, Mr. Lloyd, and do you need the other mic or just yourself? Do you need? Okay, no, I mean, you can use this mic. Did you need another mic?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, introduce yourself, and stage is yours.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Good.
Good. My name is Lloyd Lowe. I actually came with my wife, Melissa, and my business partner, Jerome Bryant. I actually am a resident here in Sauk Village. Me and Mr. Burgess had a nice conversation a few weeks ago. And pretty much what my business partner and I is doing, we're pretty much in the financial management industry. And I sat down with him and I was just going over some key concepts about what we're doing and what we want to do to be able to sit down with more families, not just in the village, but in different villages around us. Because typically, to just narrow it down, we're sitting down with families to educate them about what they need to do to make sure that they have a certain amount of income set aside by retirement. Typically, that's why you see a lot of our senior citizens still working. They still go to the Walmarts and Kmart's, because nobody sat down with them and gave them a plan to make sure that they have a plan in place by retirement. So I talked to my business partner, me and had a kind of long conversation, and he was willing to come out with me today and just share. Like I said, not trying to give you all a full-blown presentation or anything like that, because we want to value you all's time. Just to give you an idea, if it's something that what he speaks of you see in value, then we can set up a time and a date for us to come sit down with me personally. So I like to bring up my business partner and friend, Mr. Jerome Bryant.
All right, so first off, I'm not a resident of Sauk Village. I'm a resident of the village of Madison. I'm sorry, Madison. All right, so I've been working with the village for a few years. You'll notice that, so I've been in Madison for, wow, 16 years. And I noticed a decline throughout the south suburbs. So I've been working with other suburbs in the north and northwest in order to increase the financial literacy, as well as working with the village in order to bring commerce back to the communities. Madison at one point was a bustling retail center. That's no longer the case after the mall closing, and the village is looking to transform itself. So when Lloyd told me he spoke to the gentleman here, and he said, look, the work that you've been doing with Madison, the work that you're doing with other people in the community, I want you to do the same thing in Sauk Village. So my background, I went to school, did all the stuff you're supposed to do. Went to Northwestern University, got an MBA in finance, and I've been for major corporations. I'm the one you call when things are failing and you need help turning it around. So I was called a turnaround expert. About 4 years ago, I decided to also do the same thing for families. I noticed, I look at, part of my degree is in economic strategy, so I look at the wealth gap and notice that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, and it's almost anecdotal now, right? You hear people say it, but they never tell you what to do in order to resolve the issue, right? I'm the guy that's here to resolve the issue on a case-by-case basis, right? So 95% of people, when they hit retirement age, cannot retire. They want to retire, but they can't. And there's some simple things that you can do to make sure that you don't fall into that trap. Another thing is, over half of American workers have less than $25,000 in savings. Most people believe that they don't have enough to save. We work with families in order to show them that they do. We are willing to work with anyone here free of charge. We want to give you your own personal financial plan. Even if you work with a financial planner, take the plan to him or her and see how viable it is. Right? We're looking just to give free information. Free concepts. There are some things with dollar cost averaging, rule of 72, some things that you should be taking advantage of in order to make sure that your financial household will be sound and whole. Right? And that's really what it is. Right? So we find that the majority of the American public, if they understood these concepts, wouldn't have to live paycheck to paycheck, right, the way they do, and would actually have enough to retire. Right? So we have a team of individuals that are available. You can set appointments, come by. There's no solicitation. There's no, hey, you must do business with us. We're not trying to have you sell products or have you buy our products or anything. We want to leave some information with you. And that's really what it's about. Right? So Lloyd will be taking information, and you could sign up, have a time, normally in the evening, where someone will come by, sit by, and give you your any questions? Yes?
I'm sorry, can I miss the name of your organization?
The name of my company is Horizon Capital. Horizon Capital. Yes, sir. Oh, good. Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so very much. That's okay. And Lloyd does live out here in the village, but if you guys, if he's not going to, well, it looks like he may stick around, so you can give him your name and phone number, or, I'm sure he's got paper right now if you want to walk over there and leave it with him. I'm sure he can take it down and then he'll get back with you. But I appreciate these guys for coming up because it's something that you can look at in the future of finances. I mean, this is something I'm sure you may have heard a lot of different companies about finances, but there's nothing wrong with listening to some more and to give yourself more options of what's out there. So that's the reason why I brought them here, so they can get a little presentation. And you never know, someone I know, I didn't have that, and I got it, and it happened at my job, and I was grateful for that to happen. So there's a lot of programs out there, but this is just basically exposure, so you can kind of have an, you know, at least portfolio or something that you can go by, and maybe after a while you can look into it. It doesn't look like a whole lot of people that are here that are actually retired, but this is what you do before you retire. You try to build your portfolio. Okay, we're going to go on. As far as the things that happened, who was here yesterday at the village board meeting? 3, 4, 5. Okay. There was a couple of things that were presented and were talked about at the board meeting, dealing ironically with finances. And there were some things that the ones that were here I kind of heard, but the ones that weren't here didn't hear. And first of all, I like to go on record to say I don't like paying bills. I won't pay a bill unless I know something about that bill. I won't okay it. Telling me that you're going to get back with me with something is not going to cut it with me as a trustee for paying a bill. And that's one of the things that happened yesterday. And I wasn't grandstanding, it was business. We're asked to okay a certain bill without the bill. I just felt that I need to see what it entailed. I needed to see the itemization. And I did get some of it, but the part that I didn't get, I voted to put that on hold until I actually see the bill. And I thought I was going to see it today, and it still didn't come up. So that's something that I, as a trustee, have always felt that the finances of the village weighs on the trustees. It doesn't weigh on the mayor or anyone else. They don't vote. The trustees vote the money in and out. So that's something I take seriously, because when we don't have money, who are they going to come to say that you voted it out? So that was one of the things that I was kind of at all to even think that that would make it on the list, but it did. And so, yes, I did hold it up, and yes, I did ask for clarification, and I thought I was going to get it today, but I didn't. So these are some of the things when you see the accounts payable. The accounts payable, most of the bills on there, we deal with those vendors on a daily basis. So it's just a matter of maintenance. We buy product from them, we use their services on a daily basis, so we kind of know that we have a running count, and we are behind. No, there's no such thing that we're 100%, well, we're up to date on any bill, because that's just the way. We don't get our money all at one time, so we have to pay it as we get it, but you have to make a decision which one and which way to go. So with all that being said, if I see something brand new on there, fine, I'm going to ask questions. If I don't get the answers, then I want to know why. I want to know why this particular bill was there. When I got the explanation, I was fine. Had no problem with why it was there, but then I asked the second question, which was, can I see the bill? Didn't see the bill, so that's why we didn't vote on that, and that's why, for those that were there yesterday, we held that off. Now, I'll ask this question. Does anyone here pay bills just by someone submitting it to them and not knowing what it entails? Does anyone pay bills like that?
Hell no.
Well, that's what we were being asked to do. And this is the village money. And as long as this is the village money, we're placed in this position. There were also some other things that were on accounts payable that I had to ask questions about. And I did get answers. But it was just a few things that we had immediate checks. And I asked before not to issue immediate checks unless it's an emergency. But there was a couple of things on there that was not an emergency. I didn't think it was, but there was an immediate check cut. You could have waited, because when you wait to have it done at the board meeting, you open up to having questions. So why do you need an immediate check for something that's already happened? So, we should have brought that up. It should have been brought up before that time. Another thing is the expenses on the telephones. The telephone bill, when I mean telephone bill, I'm talking about the cell phones that the employees use. It's gotten out of hand. And it's just too high. And we need to get control over that. We really need to. We need to get control, find out first of all who has a phone, and find out who doesn't have a phone, and are we still paying for that? It's just simple arithmetic. It seems, for me it's simple arithmetic, but it seems like it's a problem because we ask questions. I'm sure you guys would put me in the position to be a trustee to just go along. I'm sure you put someone there, or you put anyone that you put in that position is to find out. So therefore, when they ask that person why, you don't come back and say, like I heard yesterday, I don't know. I don't know doesn't cut it, especially if you've been around for a while. So you should be able to answer most questions. And if you cannot answer those questions, you should be able to get back to that person. Because it took a while for that person to answer those questions. So, yes, I'm watching the accounts payable, but I'm watching the money. Because we have none. We're living from day to day too in the village. So you have to watch each dollar. You have to watch new expenses. Because the new expenses that come in were not budgeted. So what does that tell you? That means you're already going to be behind. If your budget is balanced to the penny, then you can't spend a penny more, anything new, unless you find a way to get that money. Or hopefully that, it's not an expense too great, but you still have that expense. I do have the accounts payable here. If anyone wants to look at it, they can. Also, there's some things that we talked about at the last town hall meeting that I do want to address. It was asked why do we have so few meetings, and I think I did answer that question, why we have so few meetings, because the meetings, I'm talking about board meetings now. The board meetings are basically laid out by the mayor at the beginning of the year, and the board votes on it. But this time, the board didn't vote on it, we just got the calendar. So therefore, and it was told that if we want a meeting, it only takes 3 trustees to call a meeting, then you can have a meeting. But they said it was a cost savings initiative. I'm not going to go all the way into it, but if it's a cost savings initiative, then everyone that didn't come to that meeting should not be paid. I mean, if you're saving money and you have 2 people, whether or not you have 1 or 21 meetings, they're going to get paid anyway, then where's the cost savings? Or are you just cutting it for just the ones that get paid per meeting? That's something that needs to be addressed. I'm sure that you guys have jobs that you come to work and they tell you that you're not getting paid for this particular day, but I'm gonna get my salary anyway because I'm salary. That's not fair. And those are some of the things that I feel that we should really look into. Also transferring money from, as they call the water fund. Does anyone know what consists of the water fund? Anyone else know what consists of the water fund? Claire? Claire?
Money we pay for our water bill is supposed to go into that fund for infrastructure.
Okay, does anyone know what it consists of? We talk about the water fund, that's just an acronym for where we put the money. But the water fund itself is your garbage and your water. So if we take money to pay something other than those 2, then we'll pull it from the garbage money that you thought you paid for to pick your garbage up. Now, if there's no money left for the water fund, what do? Tell the garbage people that we have to hold off? No, because you paid your bill. Those that pay their bills, not look for an interruption in their service. They paid their bills in faith because the bill came in and they paid it. But to be I've heard it a couple of times where the garbage man came to the resident and told him, you better tell the village to pay the bills, or else we're gonna be here next week. That's something that should never happen, because you pay your bills. Now, if you don't pay your bills, then quite naturally, you know that you're not gonna get your garbage picked up. But I've also seen garbage being picked up, even though that person didn't pay the bill. That's bookkeeping. That didn't happen. So there's a lot of different aspects that go into the garbage bill, and it should be for those items only. Now, if you have to borrow money because the money didn't come in from the state or whoever, whatever government entity it didn't come into, then you have it there for that. But just like you do anything else, you don't use your credit card just keep swiping because you got money on there. You got to pay that bill. You have to sooner or later pay that bill. Because if not, you're going to swipe one time, they're going to say decline. You don't want that to happen in the village where you get to the point where you have an emergency, a water main break or something that is part of water, but we don't have the money to get it fixed. So where are we going to borrow the money from? You don't. You have to ride that out. That's why it's so important when you take money from that fund that you make preparation to pay it back. That should be done, and I've said this before, at the budget time. When we do our budget, that should be something in there. If you know that you owe $2 million to the water fund, you should make preparation at least to pay half of that back at budget time. At least half of that, because you never know when you may need it again. But if you don't make preparation to do it, you keep taking it out, you'll never get infrastructure repairs done that are needed. Not the emergency ones, I'm talking about the ones that are needed, that everybody, well, almost everybody, but the majority of the people in the Sauk Village voted for Lake Michigan water. Only way we can get it, we have to fix the infrastructure. Only way we can fix the infrastructure, we have the money. Say, domino effect. So if there's no money in there, the rest of these things don't work. So therefore, we keep pushing it off, and we push it off, and we push it off. Grandkids come, we push it off. Great-grandkids come, we push it off. In the meantime, it's in the books, and it says that it is a mandatory entity that we have to do it, but we don't have the money. So those are the things that I just don't understand. I just really don't understand that, because yes, we may need to borrow, but when you borrow money from your bank, you borrow money from your credit union, you borrow money from yourself even, you pay it back. Why? Because one day you're going to really, really need it. It won't be there. Now what do? So those are the things that I think that we should really, really look at and question your lawmakers, question them and ask them, what is the plan to pay this money back? I'm going to take this one question right here. Yes, sir.
Well, it's a segue to what you're asking. So we were told last night that the board was apprised of what the balance was in the water fund and the other funds. That information was provided by the finance director. However, the public was not privy to any of that information. It's not on the village's public domain, and therefore we don't really know. Now, we do know that there was over $2.1 million that was taken, used from the water fund for whatever purposes. Again, we weren't apprised of that information. So my first question is, how much is in the water fund? And then out of the $2.1 million, since tax money should have been coming in, or is coming in, how much has been paid back, if any, to date that you're aware of?
Okay, how much is in the water fund? The last account that I got was yesterday. It was like $400,000 in the water fund. Is there a plan to pay the money that we owe in the water fund back? I haven't seen it. I won't say no, but I haven't seen one. Did everyone get their tax bill as far as property tax? Everyone get theirs. Anyone did not get their tax bill? Okay, so that means your tax money is on its way coming to the village. Should be here before the end of this month. So yes, we're gonna get a pretty decent amount. We do that in April or May, I'm sorry, April or end of March or beginning of April and September. But between those months, we have no money other than what we have day to day and daily things coming in, other taxes that come in. It's not, doesn't equal to what we get from the property tax. So therefore, we have to bridge that. But I've said that many times before, that we have to bridge that. So therefore, at that time, I'm sure they're gonna pay some things on the aging report. Does anyone know what the aging report is? No one knows what the aging report is. What you owe. That's your bills.
Past due bills.
Probably, yeah, past due bills, absolutely. That's what you owe. It's called the age report because it ages every day. Every day something goes on there. It's not by choice, it's just that if we can't pay it, it goes on the age report. Until you get to the point where the age report is astronomical, then, or you get someone that comes and says, we get ready to cut off the phones, we're gonna cut this off. So therefore, then it becomes emergency. Well, you knew it was emergency 5 months ago when you didn't pay it. So now we got to hurry up and do something, take away from something to do this. That's not how you do it. At least I don't do that. You know, you should send them something, make phone calls, or say something to the vendors or to the corporation that we owe money to. Not just wait until they send us something. Does anyone here know about bond rating? Okay. Anyone else know about bond rating? Bond rating is the ability to borrow funds from private industries or banks for your municipal use. If you need money to borrow through the bonds are much cheaper than going out to, you know, Title Max or PLS, places like that, but that's what they are. Because when you go out and pay double digit for a loan, you might as well go to Title Max. But anyway, bond ratings allow you to borrow money and at a lower rate and pay back over a long period of time. But you have, that's a privilege. You have to have that privilege. We haven't had that privilege in 5 years to do that. So therefore, that's why we use the water fund, I guess, to borrow money there. However, if you borrow money anywhere, you should pay an interest. Even if the village borrows money from its own fund, they should pay an interest. Just don't free, there's no such thing as free money. So those are some of the things that we need to do as a village, be more cognizant about how we spend our money and how we pay our bills. Because ultimately, guess who pays? Does anyone know who pays ultimately if we don't pay? There you go. They raise your tax, which they raise every year. It's a levy. It's 2%, but it's still a levy. It's still something that you paid more than you paid last year. You don't get that kind of raise on Social Security or at your job. You don't get that kind of raise, but they raise the taxes. And not just Sauk Village. The library board raises. It's only a small amount, but they still raise. And the school district raises twice as much. Because they get a 60% income from the village. 60%. The village is 20%. That's 80%. The rest of them are from library, Prairie State, mosquito abatement, and places like that. That's where the rest of that 20% is divided up to. But your biggest dip are your schools and your village. So that's something that we should really look at. Should really look at. And we need to borrow accordingly. There's only 2 ways to balance a budget. I keep saying this every single year, and a lot of people take it as a different way. Raise taxes, cut personnel. That's the only 2 ways you're gonna. That's the only 2 ways you're gonna do it. Unless you go outside, stick up somebody. But that's only 2 ways you can do it. You know, you hate to cut personnel. I hate to cut personnel because these are jobs. So we have to be more fiscally responsible. We have to look at the money and see before we hire, before we go out and buy this, go out and buy, can we afford it? Because I would hate to be the one to say, well, hey, we got to lay off 10 people because we don't have the money. And the residents are paying the money. You're paying your taxes on time, because if you don't pay your taxes on time, what happens? You get a penalty. If you don't pay your water bill, shut it off. Don't pay your gas bill, shut it off. So, and you don't get 3 months, 6 months. You don't get an aging report. You have to pay it within a certain amount of time, or else they shut it down. We have the luxury of having a water fund. But that water fund, does anyone understand why that water fund has extra money all the time? Does anyone understand that? You do? Okay.
We all agreed to that resolution stating that we would pay extra money, so some of those funds can go to offset some of the needed infrastructure so that ultimately we can receive Lake Michigan water.
Did everyone hear that? She stated that the reason why you're paying more money for the water bill is to offset the infrastructure repairs needed to acquire Lake Michigan water, because we have to have so much of a now. In other words, we cannot have so much of a leakage. Can it be a double digit? That's part correct, but it's not all the way correct. What happened with that was simply this. Does everyone remember when we had to hand water out because of the problems that we had? Does everybody remember that? Okay. You remember the reason that we had to do that is because they had a vinyl chloride that was in the ground, it was coming up, and it was dipped because our water is in the well. I'm sorry, we have well water, so quite naturally we take our water out of the ground. But it was mandated that we get air strippers. Those air strippers weren't cheap. It was in the millions. To get 3 permanent air strippers in all 3 wells. That money, we got a bill to pay for those air strippers. And we was hoping to get a grant for them to pay us back, but we took out a bond to pay those air strippers. And they granted that bond because it was an emergency bond. And they had tied that bond to the village. All bonds, by the way, are tied to the village. So if everyone tells you that we're going to float a bond, if a bond is a guaranteed payment, I hate to tell you this. If we have a bond and we can't pay it, guess who pays that? The resident. So that means we have to levy you for something that we didn't pay for. That's why bonds they're basically guaranteed, because if we can't pay it, when I say we, the village can't pay it, then the residents are going to be levied for that one-time fee. So they'll be levied for whatever that bond fee is. If it's $60,000 or $600,000 for that payment, then they'll levy the village, and then they'll wait till next year. And next year you haven't figured it out how you're going to pay it, then they'll levy it again for that amount. But they're just not ongoing. So what happened, the reason why your water was raised from $350 to $550, because we were not actually making anything on the water. Water rates hadn't been raised in years. So we were actually operating in a deficit. So it was raised in 5 years to break us even. It was raised another $2 the following year to pay for the air strippers. Okay? We got that bond. Then we went out and lobbied the state, and they came back and forth. The governor that was the one before this one, stated that they would give us, what was it, $3.8 million on the $4.2 million. So they finally gave us a basically forgiven loan. We didn't get the money in our hand. They just erased that bond for that amount, and we had to pay the difference. I think it was something like $500,000. Don't quote me on that, but it's about that amount that we owe. It's better than $4.8 million. So when that came, first thing I asked, well, okay, so since we got this money, we don't have to pay that high bond payment. Let's put this money to the side. Let's set it over here to the side in a different account or whatever to go towards us getting Lake Michigan water. to go toward us fixing the infrastructure, fixing the water main breaks, fixing everything we need to fix so we can satisfy those, the IDNR, that we don't have a double-digit leakage. That never happened. It never happened. So what we did was we acquired, at one time, I saw almost $1 million in the water fund because it wasn't used. But now it's 400,000 and counting and going down. And this when I saw 900,000 was June of last year. But it's been used back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to pay whatever is an emergency. How many times are we going to do that? We need to plan. Need to have a plan for that emergency, or put using that money to do something else. That's why it's going to take just that long for you to get Lake Michigan water, until we get enough money in there to fix the infrastructure. And believe me, guys, the infrastructure is in the millions. It's not a few $100,000, it's in the millions. And even if we do get a bond or a loan or whatever it is to get, then to fix the infrastructure, we have to have so much money up. It's almost like a deposit. We're going to another city or probably another city to hook into their water system for us to have Lake Michigan water. Do you really think they're going to let us do it without a deposit? Without having funds on site? Not that they hold them, but it goes into an account, much like the TIF fund, where you can't touch it unless something happens catastrophic in the village and you have to go and pay for the water, but it's put in there for the water. Because a lot of the municipalities have gotten burned. Has anyone heard about what happened with Chicago Heights and Fort Heights? You hear about that? They couldn't pay. Basically, they said, sue me. We don't have it. We just don't have it. We don't have enough people paying the bill. I know you're charging this and that, but we don't have enough people. Eventually, Cook County paid it for them, because they didn't want to turn their back on them basically and said, we're not going to help you out, Fort Heights. So they did. They ended up paying the money back to Chicago Heights for what they owed. But they got Lake Michigan water only because they qualified for every single grant in the United States. We don't. Our community is not that way. Their per capita is less than $4,000. Less than. They're the lowest per capita in the United States. So whatever grants out there, they're going to get it. Sauk Village, no. We're about 12%. Our per capita is actually higher than Chicago Heights. Believe that if you may, but it is. So there's some things that we should look at. There's some things that we need to look at. But water itself, I'm hoping that we someday will get it. I'm hoping someday it'll happen. But those are the steps we have to take. If you keep chopping it off at the bottom, the ladder's going to keep going down. You may build it back up and you chop it again. You keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. We all know what that is. So that's something that we should look at, something you should ask about, because ultimately, I keep saying we is we. This is we, all of us. Because if you live here and you pay taxes, you contribute to that. If you pay garbage bill and don't pay taxes, you still contribute to it. If you live here in the village, period, and don't pay taxes, don't pay garbage bill, you're still going to contribute because it's going to be something that you're going to use or have to pay because you don't. So I'm going to get off of that, but then before I get off, is there any questions? No questions? I like that. Okay. This is the time that I try to get questions from the audience about anything that's bothering you, about anything that you see that's hasn't been addressed, about anything that you want to discuss. Come to the village. So I think Marva had her hand up first.
Testing. Thank you, Mr. Burgess. I live in Lincoln Meadows, and you know that we've had a number of issues. I'm not going to even deal with the major sinkhole tonight, okay? But I think I would like a clarification, if at all possible, on the situation with our streetlights. Our streetlights have been out for quite a while now. We made a major letter writing campaign, I believe to you as well as to the mayor, regarding those lights. And at that time, it was only one or two of them out at the very front entrance. But now they're all out. And one of my neighbors were told that it's not a village issue, even though they're village lights, but that it's something dealing with Comcast. But fortunately for us, I guess, someone came out and put some of those little horses at the entranceway on each side so that as we turn into our development, we don't just keep going right over into the ditch. But if you could help me with the clarification or understanding of how is this a Comcast issue, and if it is a Comcast issue, who should be handling it?
I'm glad you asked that because I got this on here right here. And I'm just going to tell you a fact of what happened today. Today, they had a meeting with ComEd engineer, with the ComEd representative, which I know the lady, she used to be a clerk in Chicago Heights. Now she works for ComEd. Here in the village, along with Kevin Weller and J.W. Fairman at around 1 o'clock. I asked at that time, yesterday, because it's not just Lincoln Meadows, there's a lot of other areas in the village that are out. And I asked yesterday, could we, not just we, could the areas that are affected, somehow or another, something be sent out to them to let them know after this meeting, what are they going to do and how long do they expect this to be out? We can do that as a village. We can send a letter, you know what area it is, someone type it up. You can have Public Works or whoever to go out there and drop those letters off to the people. Because now it shows that you care, and you're not the only one, but you're right. Because it has been going back and forth. The village says it's not, ours ComEd says that's your pole. Then I'm hearing from the village that when they pull the wire through, it gets torn a little bit on the pole, so then the ground fault trips the transformer. So I heard a lot of stories, a lot of different answers. Irregardless, they had a meeting today. I asked them, because I'm going to follow back on it tomorrow, because when I'm out there, people ask that same question. Like I said, we have a lot of lights out. Now, if you see a whole row out, more than 2 lights out, then ComEd disconnected to that. We can't do that. The village can't. So they're either disconnected at the behest of the village, or they're disconnected so they can do something. So, because we can't cut the light off. The electricity off, so they must have to put something in there. But irregardless, they should have agreed, talked, or whatever, something. So I'm going to follow up tomorrow and ask what was the outcome of the meeting. And not just theirs on Peterson, I know of a lady that calls every single day, which I don't blame her. There's no lights in front of her house. The whole block is dark. And so they should at least have somebody to tell her when or possibly they can come on and you should turn your lights on out in front of your house. But at least somebody from the village should come and let them know. They may not know exactly what they kind of know. ComEd doesn't deal with maybe I'll do this. They know. Now if the village goes out, then quite naturally there's one of the transformers online. And they can give you an approximate date.
But you know, we didn't have this issue until we got to the lighting.
The new lighting, to tell you the truth, has nothing to do with that. That's a ComEd issue. It could be if they had to pull wire, then you know you could scrape it and then that'll create
The new lighting.
But the new lighting, they just plugged them in, so it could be also an old issue. But then again, you know, whatever it is. They need to let the residents know. Because they know what's out. You go home now, they know what's out. So anytime they take care of things and doing the day, no, they drive around. Because it's not just Lincoln Memphis, it's all over. And the people should be made to find out what's going on. And also, you're talking about Lincoln Memphis storm sewer. I was told, the last I was told, that they're waiting on the asphalt, Gallagher asphalt, to open up so they can pour it in there. So I don't know if it's open.
How about paying them a bill so that they will do it?
They got to stand in line. We got a lot of people got to be paid. So don't make it look. They're not pregnant. They're not by themselves. So there's a lot of bills that need to be paid. Is this yes, sir?
This is a follow-up question to what Martin was asking. About the street lighting and the street lighting and when they did the energy efficient street lighting, as you know, the village entered into a multi-year contract, and that cost about $41,000 a year, but there was supposed to be a savings in energy cost. Since the representative from ComEd was here, I'm sure that Mr. Fairman and them asked how much have we saved so far compared to year-over-year comparisons to that.
ComEd would know that.
Well,
We should know how much we paid last year at this particular point versus how much we paid at this point. They hit a button. ComEd wouldn't know. ComEd doesn't know how much you save. I mean, sometimes they do that, but we should know. Last year at this time we paid X amount. This year at this time we pay X amount. We should be able to, that's not hard. Just hit a button. That's not hard to do.
and I'm sure there is a savings because the lights are not.
Right.
Yeah, that's true too. But yes, that's what I can tell you. But I will find out because I'm anxious to find out what they said because I get this all the time from people. My lights out, and I see it. You drive around, yes, it is dark. Any other questions? Nope. Don't let me wait until 8:30. If you want to ask a question.
Not a question,
Okay.
just a comment. Is it working?
Yeah.
My name is Sedona Ayers, and I live in Carlisle Estates. I've been there 32 years. For 37 years, Carlisle Estates has always been forgotten. We're like little orphans there. Not much gets done in our subdivision. Grass doesn't always get cut. The road doesn't get fixed. We definitely need resurfacing. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, our streets. But the comment I'm going to make is, 2 weeks ago, at a board meeting, Bernice Brewer had commented on Carlisle Estates regarding exactly what I just said, that nothing has been done in our little subdivision, that the roads are deplorable and nothing has been done. And then also I spoke to one of our trustees, Mr. Tates, and he had commented to one of the people at the, I don't think it's Public Works, the engineers, about our roads. That week later, on a Monday, guess who has our roads are being filled. The potholes are being filled. So I thank Mr. Tates, I thank Mrs. Brewer for making these comments for our subdivision. I hope more happens there. But if it wasn't for the two, I don't know if we would have anything right now. Maybe in the summer, maybe, I don't know, they just don't come by us. So I have to give them a thank you for them coming out and filling all the roads.
I appreciate that, Ms. Harris. So let me kind of give people that are here that they can pass on to their friends. The squeaky wheel is the most oil. If you have your residents to come out and complain about something, and I'm just saying it, I'm just telling it like it is, especially right now, this time of the year, this time of the season, as I call it, it's election time. Place should be packed. Talking about, hey, I need you, how come you haven't done this? How come you haven't done that? You have these people all over town trying to fix stuff. Because now you see people that are out there they should be coming up, not just that time really, but that's a good time. But they should come out in forces and say, hey, over where we live at, nothing's been done. Keep coming out to something happen. It will happen. I guarantee you it'll happen. Something to be done. Because, you know, if you don't do anything, then now you're going to get the, oh, we talked and they haven't said a thing. The best thing to do is get your neighbors, wherever you live, whatever subdivision, whatever neighborhood you live in, and say, hey, we've had this pothole, we've had this sidewalk, we've had all these things messed up in our neighborhood and we're tired of it. What are you going to do about it? Don't wait till later. Do it do it. But the hardest thing is to get the neighbors and your your neighbors to come out and complain. It only takes an hour, maybe an hour and a half, to come out once a week, to give that time to get somebody to address the issue that you have. Because here's what's going to happen. I mean, if they have a meeting next week and you come out and you say something, okay, we heard that. I would have somebody go there and look at it. Next week come, looking outside, oh, they're not there. So what? I don't have no report on it. Well, they're there, I got to give you an answer now. And it can't be we're still looking at it. It's got to be something that we actually do. Because if not, the third week, you come. Now it looks to the other residents, well, hey, they came out. They didn't do anything. The village didn't do a thing. So, you know, why are we going to continue to keep accepting something like that? It takes two ways. It's a two-way street. Come out, complain about it, you pay your taxes. Because if you don't pay them, guess what? You lose your home or whatever. Pay the same thing with your bills. Come out, talk. And that's all it takes is to say, hey, we need this fixed. Now, as far as Carlisle Estates, as far as the patching, that's nice. Probably is up now, because it just had snow. So they probably plowed that patch. That's exactly what, put that salt down there, put the water, get up underneath it there, it rises up, the plow comes and takes it right off. Now you got back the same place you was, probably bigger. So it has to be resurfaced. Unfortunately, I do not think Carlisle is a CDBG grant entity. I don't think it is over there. Does everyone know what the CDBG help is for? It's community block grant funding. Does everyone know what that is? You don't? Okay. That's what it is money coming in. By the way, I heard, I'm not forsaken, but I heard that it was going to be cut from the top down, which means from Trump down, it's going to cut some of that funding to the local states. And if they cut the funding to the states, then the states are going to cut the funding to the municipalities. I heard that. It hasn't happened yet, but look out. But CDBG money is used that you can go, and as a matter of fact, the village goes every year and applies for a grant. You as a resident can go, I send people down to Bloom Township to go and apply for CDBG help in your house if you qualify. Age is one thing, health is another, and safety is another. So in other words, if you got a roof that's about to fall in and you don't have the money to get it fixed, then they can see that you don't have the money and you're a certain age, they'll fix it. Well, what they'll do is they'll call somebody and then they'll pay that bill. You don't do it, but they do. So, but you qualify. It's a funding, and you qualify for it. But there's nothing wrong with filling the paperwork out for 20 minutes to see if you're gonna get a $6,000 roof or whatever it may be that's in there. We apply for roads every year, but it can only be done in certain areas that qualify for a less per capita or lower income, not low income, but a lower income than the national income. And we apply for it. That's why you see a lot of times that we actually do the roads in those areas. 223rd Street going from Torrance Avenue all the way to Cornell is one of them. It qualifies for CDBG. And whatever it takes, we use that money for that, and then the rest of it is MFT, that's your motor fuel tax. In order to do Carlisle, it's going to take MFT money. Everybody knows what MFT money is. Motor fuel tax. You pay it every time you go to the gas station, your tax money, and it comes back. Most of it. It's the way the government tax you too. So you get most of it back. But CDBG, you apply for that. We apply every year for 400,000, we get maybe 200,000. But you get something, you know. So we take that to use that for those type of improvements. But if you, I can put it this way, if you're retired, certain income, and you have something really, really wrong with your home, I would say go up to Bloom Township, fill the paperwork out, and submit it. It's worth it. Yes.
What about sidewalks? I know in our development, certain houses, sidewalks are heaped up over the other.
Yes.
Block.
Yes.
Where it's there, up over. Who fixes that? And how can you as a homeowner? Because ours is sunk.
Yes.
And so our water standpipe is coming up out of the sidewalk.
Yes.
So,
That's because it's sunk down, yes.
yeah, so, I did talk to Mr. Weller about that, and he said, because the water line is running underneath, and that's what erodes away the dirt, so it will sink. So if you get it fixed, it'll last about 20 years, and we are about 20 years old over there. But it's a constant thing that needs to be fixed. Now, as far as buckling, and I know Mr. Pondexter went out there and he marked the really bad.
Yes, he
areas.
did. He went throughout the whole subdivision.
Did we ever hear anything back from the village on that?
Okay, as far as your sidewalks are concerned, it's a lot worse in the village, period. That's something that I tried to initiate years and years and years ago, is what I call the 50-50 plan. And it never happened, never got the votes for it to happen. But what I wanted to do is give the people in front of, the people that really, really wanted to get their sidewalks fixed, they pay 50% and the village pays 50% until the money is gone. In other words, you put so much money into that fund, and I think I forgot how much it was. I used to remember it was like $300 or $400 per square. But I forgot how much it is now. It might have went up, may have went down. And you have approximately 5 squares, because each square is 5 feet. So 12 times 5 is 60. That's most homes, that's 60 feet. Some of them are 72, so you have 6 squares. And do a 50-50 plan. And it never happened, something that I would love to see happen, because a lot of people can't wait for the list to get to them. Because believe it or not, there's some sidewalks in the village that you can't even walk down. And a lot of times that's where you get a lot of main breaks, because their water is a main break right here out to your, I would say the other side of the sidewalk where they actually cut it off is a main break there, or it's a dripping that's been dripping for years, and it washes away and then it sinks, cracks. That's what you got. So that's something that needs to be addressed. How do you do it? With age is going to deteriorate anything. Cement does 2 things, dry and crack. That's what cement does. There's no such thing else. So we have to have something in place for that. And I would love to see a 50-50 plan. Yes, ma'am.
There are other communities that I've seen, they don't have sidewalks.
Okay.
So they can't.
Maybe they didn't want to do that.
The repairs. So if
Right.
they can't repair them, then take them out.
But no. I mean, it's nice, but now you got people walking in the street, they walk in the street anyway. But then you got a lot of people walking on your yard, your grass, and the whole sidewalk where it's supposed to go. They were put there, okay. That's something that when you design something, you have to also design a way to maintain it. And it has to be somebody set aside for that. Not for just paying payroll, but you have to pay payroll, but other vendors that you really didn't need. So yes, I mean, we got the sidewalks. Sidewalks, I think, are great. You know, but I mean, unfortunately, that it requires the village to maintain it. In fact, it requires the village to maintain it. Any other questions? Really? Yes, ma'am. Who has the mic?
My name is Judy Cast, and this year will be 52 years in Sauk Village. And I agree with everything you've said so far, trustee. But one of the questions I have is the manner in which we're allowed to ask questions. Last night at the meeting, you don't have an opportunity to sit and read everything so that you can ask questions appropriately. And you pick the stuff up as you come in the door. But then again, you say the Pledge of Allegiance, they call roll, and then they want questions from the audience. Everything at the bottom of that agenda is put in there with numbers and codes and what have you. And the average villager, which I'm one of, doesn't understand one damn word of it. So I can't ask a question. You'll have to wait till next week. Well, by then, the vote's made and we're screwed. And it, to me, it creates a problem. I had numerous questions yesterday, but because our time was already gone, couldn't ask them. My second question is that 90% of what you talked about here tonight, I feel that had we had a balanced budget, things wouldn't be as bad as they are today. I do not understand how somebody could do a budget in 4 hours and feel that it's balanced and argue with you or make snide remarks to you when you bring up the fact that the budget is not balanced. I remember first moving here and coming to board meetings. They were held at the fire station. I remember the time it took for the mayor and each department head to get together and go over their budget for the next year. That doesn't happen here anymore, and I don't understand that. If you're the head of a department, you know what your department needs. No one man should make decisions for the entire village and then call it a balanced budget. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that some departments have a budget and others do not. And then I see on the balance, or on the accounts payable yesterday that a trustee got $450 for something, and I didn't understand that. Now, whether they had a, you know, they took donations or what have you, I don't know, but $450 was given to a trustee for her program, and that wasn't budgeted. And $450 is really nothing when you talk about what the village owes and what they pay out or what they owe. But I feel like if you'll give $450 to her, then you'll write those emergency checks when they're really not emergencies. And you'll do things. I don't remember, and unless I'm out of town, I come to all meetings. And yet, I don't hear some of these things. You said the trustees are the ones that handle the money. The trustees make a decision. And yet, week after week, or however you want to put it, at these meetings, I hear things being passed that never came to the board. And it's my understanding from way back when that decisions on this money spending has to be brought to an open board meeting so the public knows what's going on with their money. And yet, there's so much money spent that we don't have any idea about what's going on. And I think that the trustees need to become firmer with the fact that, and it probably is useless to say it, but the trustees, 3 of them anyway, have been saying no to spending money, and of course they get ridiculed for it. But those of us that understand why you're doing it appreciate what you're doing for us. But we got a new regime coming in, and I think some ground rules need to be set ahead of time as to what we're gonna look for. And be here to see that things are started out in the proper way. That's it.
Okay, let me address a couple of things that you just stated. Remarks. Everybody has a remark. If I was worried about remarks, I wouldn't be standing here today and doing what I'm doing, because no one can do everything for everyone. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't agree with you. So what you try to do in a case that way is try to talk to them, find out what we can do to bridge that gap. Balanced budget. I'm just going to be honest and open and frank with you. Balanced budget looks good on paper, but there's no such thing as a complete balanced budget. Why? Because emergencies happen. So therefore, the first emergency that happened that wasn't budgeted for, guess what? It's not balanced anymore. But it should be a good way to start. You should start off with a budget that if there's nothing happens, or you should have money in that budget for emergency purposes. You can put in, if you don't use it, all the more. But there should be something in that budget for emergencies, and emergencies happen all the time. And now, you know what happens in a household, you know what's going to happen in the village. So you should have a contingency, you should have something set aside just for it. If you don't have something, and if you don't use it, and that happens, now you can go out and buy some of those things you have on your wish list that you said we wanted to have, we didn't have the money for it. So that's what you do. A budget is on paper. Actual money is what you actually have. We can have a balanced budget for $2 million or $10 million. But if the state says we're not going to give you $10 million, we're going to short you and give you $9 million. Now you got to scrape to find out where we get the $1 million from. So it is good as a great start. But if you start off in the hole, you can't go nowhere but the hole. Keep going down. And when you start cutting things on the budget just because, and that's what happened the last time, just because, you don't cut overtime in half. You can cut some of it, but there's nowhere in the world you can cut overtime. If you had $400,000 last year that was in overtime, this year you're going to say, well, I'm going to cut that to $200,000. What you going to do? How do you propose to make that happen? You're going to tell somebody they can't work overtime? So you're going to have, instead of 2 cops, 1, and in some cases none, because we don't have overtime. We reached the overtime limit. You can't do that. You need to cut somewhere else, but overtime for certain things are just overtime. Overtime, to tell you the truth, is built into police officers. I wish I found a way, I wish I could know a way to stop it, but it's virtually impossible because they have to go to court. If a person writes a ticket on an afternoon and court is doing a day and they have to come to court, what does that tell you? That's overtime. They can't go in the afternoon, court's closed, especially at midnight. So those things, that's part of already knowing. So to cut that, just to say because it looks good, that's not the way to go. As far as you talking about voting on things, in 331, a consensus vote. Let me kind of clear this up because a lot of people have said that this was, and I know I'm on camera and I appreciate that. You can rebut this all you want. But when you take a consensus for something that you're going to pay money for or something that you're going to pass, and this is something that needs to be done right away, this is incumbent upon whoever's doing that to make sure that we have contact numbers for each and every person that's involved in voting. Emergency contact number. And if not, leave a message. But your consensus should not involve the mayor. Your consensus should be involved in the trustees only. If you get 4 trustees and you can't get the other 2, now you have a proper quorum. But if you ask 3 trustees, and don't ask the other 3, and the mayor says yes, that's not a consensus. So I don't know where they get this from or whatever the case, but you should ask. And if they can't get in touch with that trustee, find out next time you say, hey, we tried to contact you. We need you to call back because it was an emergency, and each trustee should have a number that they can be called or reached on. At least they look at it at least every few hours. Because that's why you're there. That's how you got elected. That's why you were elected, so you can be at least reachable on an emergency. Because you are a village official. So to not call, to not find out or ask that person, I think it's a travesty, and it should not happen. You should not have to get, I got 3 and I call the mayor 4, and that's it. No. Yes, sir.
Just to follow up on what you're saying there, one of the things is that the state does allow for consensus actions, if you will, under the law. However, that law is very clear that a consensus action needs to be followed up with a proper vote by the elected officials. Is that being done?
Not if you don't know about it, like I just got to state. There's been times where I came in and this was voted on, I heard it talked about, I never got a call, I never got an email, but then it was said it was voted on as consensus. Okay. I asked the question, who voted on it? Could you please raise your hand? Everybody had an alligator arm. Everybody raised it. So makes me believe something's wrong. But that's not how you do business. That's why we're where we're at now, but that's not how you do business. And I'm sorry that I just, my wife, if I go out there and buy something and she doesn't have knowledge of it, I got a price to pay. We all do. Same thing with your spouses or your significant other. You let them know, because guess what? It's our money. It's our this. They're out there doing whatever they have to do to make ends meet along with you. You got to spend what you want to spend, how you want to spend it, where you want to spend it. Don't say nothing. It's going to be an argument. And it should be. It should be. But to have a consensus voting, I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong. Please have somebody correct me if I am. But it should be dealt with, first of all, with the trustees before it even gets to the mayor. But you should call every trustee. And I've known myself, there were things that were voted on, I never got a phone call. And at the next meeting, we never voted on it. I saw it I'm sorry, I won't say we didn't vote on it. It was in their immediate check. That was paid. That was paid. Now you want me, as a trustee, to okay something that you never contacted me about in the first place and say it's okay. Sorry, I don't work that way. If it was that important, you'd find a way to contact me. I have many numbers and you could call or whatever. Plus, guess what, people? Trustees live in the village. They live in the village. So there's a way the police can come at night or whatever. They used to deliver our packets by the police department, used to deliver our packets, but somebody said that was a cost savings. We got a lot of cost savings, but other people's money never stops. But there should be some type of way. Don't tell me after you spent the money, vote it out. Suppose I say no. Suppose it doesn't go for a vote. Would you gonna go back and snatch the check back? It's been paid. You can't take the money back. So those are some of the things that have happened, not just what have happened. And yes, that's what I don't like.
Just to follow up on that also.
You just your last question.
It's not a question, more just a statement. I think that is a horrible practice. I think that...
What's over practice?
This consensus stuff, when it is not properly followed up with a proper and legal vote, it lacks transparency, and it does not allow the residents to find out what's going on with the money. So that's just my statement on that.
And I understand that. And you said it right, but it takes just more than just you. It takes the people. The elected officials represent the people, not themselves. And when that starts happening like that, then we're all lost. They represent the people. The people say if enough, but it takes the people to come out and say something. Not just say, oh, it's okay. You know, we don't have time for that until you find out that you're getting ready to get taxed again. Now the line stands around the corner. Why are we paying so much money on taxes? We don't have, we spent it. Simple as that. We spent it because you cannot get levied for what you want. You get levied for what you have to pay. The bonds that you have, that you've already have written, and you can't pay it, you're going to get levied. Everybody should understand that. Because if you don't have the money, that's why the bonds are guaranteed bonds. Because if you don't have it, they will levy your town for just that payment that year, but they still levy. So eventually there's no tree behind Village Hall that we can go to and pick out money. It's called the water fund, but guess what? You keep taking money from that, you don't have that either. So I'm just hoping that we can get more and more people. This is your community. This is your community. Get involved. Ask questions. Find out. We don't know what's going on. Ask questions. Ask them of your representatives, the people that you say that you're going to vote in. Ask them. Not just what you're going to do, because they can tell you what you're going to do all the time. No, not what you're going to do. We got this problem right here. What's your plan? Are you part of this? If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Simple. Very simple. Hold your representatives accountable to what's happening. Ask those questions. Come out. Please come out. Come out to the meetings. Come ask those questions. I know that this, when you got a 3-minute time limit or whatever, okay. Ask your question. If you don't get an answer, guess what you do? You come back. You come back. Because people that really, really want to do it are going to find out. And they're going to answer your question. They don't want to see you come back. It looks like they haven't done anything. Because the first thing you said, I came back last week and I asked you this, you don't have an answer. What you going to do? Sorry, that's called embarrassing, but that's what you have to do. You have to ask. Continue to ask until you get an answer that satisfies you. This is going to be the last town hall meeting after the election, so I hope that you tell your friends and family or whoever's registered to vote. Get out and vote. As I was stating earlier, this place should be full. It should have been full last night. They asked about all the concerns. Don't wait until after you is over with, and then it's like, oh, I dodged that bullet. Your representatives are here to represent you. Make them represent you. Hold them their feet to the fire. Not just that when it's convenient, because this is your money. This is your money. However little or however large amount that you spend in taxes and services, it's still your money. And if you have a problem with it, just like your cell phone bill, combat anything else, you got a problem, you call them up. You say, hey, I don't understand this on my bill. Why are you doing this? Do the same thing to your village. And not just your village, school district, 206, 168, and those over in Deer Creek, 194, and Prairie State. All these boards are up. Think wisely, do homework. You got about 2.5 weeks to do homework on who is running for an office. Do your homework, check it out, see what they've done, if they've done anything, and if they're an incumbent, see what they're about. So, no more questions. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. And again, it's supposed to be getting a little warmer at the end of this week, so, you know, we had what was it, that 4 inches of snow. It was wet though, but it's about gone now, so that's a good thing. Thank you so much, and on your way out, if you have any questions for Lloyd, or if you want to give him your phone number to contact you, please do. It's a young man. We have to look out after our own. And if we don't try to help our youth, who will? Thank you so much.